Thank you, Madam Chair, Vice Chairs Bueller and Rayfield, members of the committee. For the record, I'm Alyssa Keny-Guyer, State Representative for House District 46, parts of Northeast and Southeast Portland. I'm honored to be before this committee as I was the interim chair of it up until a couple months ago. And this is a committee bill that was introduced at the time that I was chair because of a really big need in my district over the placement of a crematorium very close to a residential area as well as to Vestal school, K-8 school. I will like to defer to I know you have a very full agenda and they've got a short video they want to show, so I will be available for questions, but I'm really honored to be here and have you consider this very important bill. Want to introduce yourself?
Oh, sure.
Are you first?
Yes, I'm first. Hi. Dear, I'm sorry, thank you. Dear Chair Fagan, Vice Chairs Bueller, Rayfield, and members of the House Committee on Consumer Protection and Government Efficiency. For the record, my name is Leslie Beister, and I live at 204 Northeast 79th Avenue in Portland, Oregon. My house is adjacent to a crematorium and near an elementary school. I am speaking to you on behalf of myself and other families with children in Oregon public schools. Many public schools are now located in commercial use zones. Unfortunately, there is little or no oversight of industries which emit toxic chemicals in residential neighborhoods or near schools. This came to my attention recently when a crematorium located next to homes and less than 75 yards from an elementary school started operating. Fortunately, there's a chance to correct this oversight with House Bill 3056. There are many chemicals emitted through the cremation process, including sulfur-laden compounds, lead, arsenic, cadmium, hexavalent chromium, chlorinated dioxins, furans, and mercury. Several are carcinogenic and are known to exacerbate chronic conditions such as asthma. The U.S. EPA has stated that there is no safe level of exposure for many of these toxic chemicals. Even in low doses, they can cause damage to nerve tissues, the kidney, the brain, and death. Wow. Some studies have linked increases in birth defects to the presence of operating crematorium. When operating, the crematorium incinerator was very loud, and its smokestack spewed black smoke and pungent odors into our community. The odors often lasted hours after a burn was completed. Odors are often the first sign of a danger. Who hasn't been alarmed when they smelled something burning? Because of a lack of oversight and testing, the crematorium was able to operate and release visible black smoke and toxic chemicals onto the schoolyard and into the environment. The crematorium emissions contain particulates which fall on the playground and a garden where community members and students grow vegetables. Because of Portland's temperate climate, the playground and garden are used practically year-round. Children, being children, are active. They run, they scream, they get overexcited, breathe harder, thereby increasing the possibility for bioaccumulations of these poisons over time. The State Mortuary and Cemetery Board should have the authority to disapprove crematorium, especially if they impact the public health and safety of children. The bill addresses the points to consider when granting a permit. Explicitly, the proximity of a crematorium to schools and any place where children are likely to congregate. A school, a playground, and community garden certainly fit those criteria. Where children are concerned, we should follow the precautionary principle which states, do no harm. It is not necessary to wait for scientific certainty before enacting protective measures. Across the United States, cities are implementing the precautionary principle as the basis for their environmental policy because there is a social responsibility to protect the public, especially our children, from harm. We should not allow the operation of crematorium while children are present in residential neighborhoods and schools. Be brave, be bold. Support this protective health measure because the health of our children in our communities is at stake. And I think in your packets there is a drawing from one of the children in the neighborhood for people who cannot speak for themselves. This is part of the materials you have. Thank you for listening to me, and thank you to Representative Alyssa Keny-Guyer for bringing this forward. We are counting on the committee to protect the health of our children and community.
Thank you, Chairman Fagan and state representatives for having us. My name is Chuck Spidell, and I'm actually a homeowner, business owner, and I have a son who goes to Vestal School where this where it's highly impacted. And I actually wanted to talk on a few of Leslie and Ted's points that I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on, and specifically the noise and the air quality. That's what we're very concerned about. The noise is typically you're going to hear it between 6:45 a.m. and 7 p.m. And this is pretty much when the children are attending school. They walk right by the crematorium grounds, and they're usually there before, during, and after school. So the entire time this crematorium is running, the children are directly affected by it. The gas lines and the smokestack, the output is very loud. As of right now, they actually were last time they were running last year, they were twice the amount of decibel levels that they're permitted within the city noise ordinance. So currently they're not allowed to operate. And the other thing we wanted to address too is, again, the air quality. That's what we're really concerned about, is because the air quality is basically unmonitored and untested, unregulated. And you can see the visible emissions as we've been showing you in these videos. And one of the biggest concerns is that these specific toxic materials are always up in the air. We have no idea what's in them. From the actual general permit that the crematorium is operating on, these are the list of the toxic substances that are in the air, or potentially in the air. Particulate matter, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, carbon monoxide, and volatile organic compounds. The one that's the biggest issue on the map right now is particulate matter. In fact, EPA has an area of their website dedicated just to particulate matter and the health concerns. And this is from their website. I'm quoting directly from their site. The size of particles is directly linked to their potential for causing health problems. EPA is concerned about particles that are 10 micrometers in diameter or smaller because those are the particles that generally pass through the throat and nose and enter the lungs of potentially children. Once inhaled, these particles can affect the heart and lungs and cause serious health effects. If you do want to read that article, just go to epa.gov/PM. And finally, again, we want to reiterate some of our biggest concerns is the location and vicinity of the crematorium to the school. This particular crematorium is 100 feet from the school grounds. So it's literally across the street. And yeah, that's about it. I just wanted to say thanks again, and we really hope that you'll consider.
Can I show the video?
Oh yes. And again, this is the original video that I actually shot, and I was walking home from the Vestal playground and saw this smoke that was emitting from the crematorium, 100% black smoke. And again, we have no idea what is contained in this smoke, and it's unregulated, unmonitored.
Can I? Hi, again, Alyssa Keny-Guyer for the record. I was called originally about this situation by Ted Whitney, who is also in the audience here, very alarmed about this crematorium. It was a funeral home that was then bought out by a company in New Jersey who took it over and then started a crematorium. So originally it had been approved with a general use permit by DEQ. And one of the situations and why we're bringing this bill forward is that there seems to be kind of a gap. DEQ has regulations that say that you cannot have any spewing black smoke. There's some kind of level at which that is declared, unacceptable, as long as if it goes any more than 6 minutes continuously. And so no one has been able to catch this black smoke going for more than 6 minutes continuously. The noise ordinance under which this crematorium was actually shut down was something that the city runs. The city, it's hard because they only had one noise ordinance for the entire city, and DEQ many years ago reduced their noise ordinance section because of, this is actually many years ago, maybe under Governor Barbara Roberts, because of lack of funding. And so there's very little support in that arena. But to the extent that the city ordinance from Portland was able to come out, they caught it on multiple occasions. First gave them a warning, then a very small small fee, and eventually, because they kept violating it, it was shut down temporarily until they could prove that their equipment was at the stage where it brought down the noise. So it's a kind of a gap. They're being regulated on noise, but the black smoke, as long as it doesn't go on from, no one catches it going on more than 6 minutes, is not a huge concern. And DEQ has said, this is not one of our top priorities because there's not a lot of crematoriums, and so we're really going after dirty diesel and wood stoves and things like that. This is just like, it's a small area that's getting lost through the cracks. And so we had originally thought of doing legislation that would say no more than 500 feet or no more than 1,000 feet from a school. What we decided to do is really kick it back to the board that we think really should examine this, the State Mortuary and Cemetery Board, to have some discretion, but to have a real conversation about under what conditions should they not get a permit. There's got to be some place that there can be a thoughtful discussion on this particular industry, in particular residences.